Hello YouTubers! Here's a little review of some of the videos I have made on how modes correspond to the pentatonic scales and how they can be used over the 1-4-5 blues progression. Okay, so there are a couple things I talked about, a couple chordal things that blues players play. One was like minor blues sound, and then the major blues sound. So one is G minor 7, A minor 7th, and then G 7th and A minor 7th. Now, if you're playing in a minor key, you're obviously going to play this. And if you're playing in a major key, you'll probably play this, right? Well, that's not always the case with the blues, because in the blues we play minor pentatonic over a dominant 7 chord, which is a major chord. And then when we play in a minor blues, we tend to avoid the major note. Not so much on the soloing, but chordally it would create a problem to play major over minor. You're in the minor blues. You don't really want to play major. It sounds something like that, okay, which is flat 9th interval, which is not that harmonically desirable, but you can still get away with it. B.B. King played it, but it doesn't apply to the chordal analysis, okay? So let's discuss the chordal analysis and try to clarify some of the aforementioned factors here. Okay, previously we talked about how when you're playing in G7th and you apply modal chordal functions to G7th, the G7 sounds as a 5-7 chord in the key of C, which corresponds to the Mixolydian mode. So we're already at G, but if we had to go in the opposite direction here, let's use only 3 strings, 4, 3, and 2, right? We'd go to the 4 chord of C major, F. So G7 blues is modally in the key of C. Okay, that's something to remember there. G7 blues is in the key of C. 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, C, major 7th, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So all these guys are all going to work over G7. Because G7th is the 5th of C. Harmonically, that blues 1-7 chord, which functions as a tonic, is functioning modally as a 5-7 chord. So you have all these options available to you. And they're all going to sound good over a G bass note. Okay, even though they're in the key of C, because when you're in the key of C, you're borrowing from a chordal function, the 5-7 chord G7th in the key of C. Okay, so that kind of clarifies that. Now, the modal scale, Mixolydian, corresponds to the major pentatonic scale, right? It just adds a couple notes to it. So, when we play the major pentatonic scale, we have to learn to play it in all 5 positions, right? So, we also have to learn how to play all the modes that accompany those 5 pentatonic positions. So what happens after we play Mixolydian? The next position is Aeolian. So Aeolian sounds as G Mixolydian. Then you have B Phrygian, C major, D Dorian, D Dorian, E Phrygian, F Lydian, And they're all sounding as Mixolydian. So that's how you take that 7th, dominant 7th mode up the fretboard. Now, if we decide to play minor pentatonic over the 7th chord, which is most common, is the minor sound because it contains the blue notes. Whereas the major pentatonic is also used, but it lends itself a little more to country music and is probably less used than the minor pentatonic, although certain notes from it are always borrowed. So you hear how it goes major, minor, the interplay between major and minor, parallel major and parallel minor is always in play over the blues. But let's get back to addressing some of the things that I said in our previous lessons. If I apply the modes to the G minor, or let's say the G minor pentatonic scale, then I'm actually in the key of F major. So modally, the Dorian, G Dorian, is in the key of F major or F Ionian. So we have these chords in F, 1, 2, 3, A minor 7, 4, B flat major 7, 5, C7, 6 is the D minor 7, 7, E minor 7 flat 5, and then back to A. So you see the C7th chord is in this one. That's why it sounds good when we go to the 4 chord to play G Dorian, because G Dorian is also C Mixolydian, right? So there's a lot of interesting relationships that are going on here. But the first thing to think about is if you're playing Dorian, you're playing in the key of F. So here's how you would move these guys around, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, they're 8, 2, 8. Okay, kind of running out of room here. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And all those chords are all going to work over the blues. Now, because these chords correspond to the pentatonic scale and you can move them up the fretboard, you're also going to move up the scales as well. Right? The scales move in the same way and they follow the chords. So you're always going to be playing, of course, G minor pentatonic when you move these up. So modally, you're starting in Dorian, correct? Which is in F. G Dorian is in the key of F major. So we have Dorian, then Phrygian, and then Lydian, B flat Lydian, C Mixolydian, D Aeolian, and then E Locrian. Sorry about that. And then back to F major. Sorry, it's getting a little bit high there for me. Hard to see. Okay, so the bottom line is that if you're using Dorian, you get to use all the stuff that's in the key of F. And if you're using Mixolydian, you get to use all the stuff that's in the key of C. So the G blues can be in G, but because G is functioning as a 1 chord, right, 1, 4, 5. But modally, the G blues is in the key of F if we use G minor, and it's in the key of C if we use G7th.